I wasn't sure I was going to love this, but I really do. Hello everybody, it's the Warhipster here, coming at you with another sprue review, box unboxing, looking at the sprues and building models type video extravaganza sort of thing. Gumma bobby majigsy. Sentence always gets away from me in these videos. Yes, we're back with another sprue review, and today we have got a massive pile of tiny things. Yes, of course, I'm talking about Legions Imperialis. So, Games Workshop have very kindly sent to me a Kratos Heavy Tank Squadron. They've sent to me a Legions Astartes Infantry box, a Solar Auxiliary Infantry box, a Rhino Transport Detachment, oh god, and a Baneblade Squadron. But not only that, they've also sent me the Legions Imperialis starter box thing, gummabob, a majigsy. Yes, they've sent me an absolutely enormous pile of tiny things. I can't fit it all in my hands. Coming out of my product bunker. Let's just pop these down in a little bit more of a sensible manner, shall we? Yes, Games Workshop have been very, very kind and have sent me a lot of Legions Imperialis loveliness. And, well, I stand by what I said in the intro to this video. I really wasn't sure about this game. See, I didn't really see the point or how it was going to make me feel. But then I started doing it. And having now done it, I really get it. See, your standard 2,000 point army can make you feel a little bit mighty, depending on which faction you go for and how many models you have on the table. But this is something else. I mean, you can't see this, and you will. In front of me is over 200 miniatures. And it's glorious. I don't know what it is about this, but it really just activates something in that childlike brain for Warhammer. It's a proper army. And it's all there. It's really tiny. They are so adorable. So yes, Games Workshop have sent me all of this Legions Imperialis stuff. So, you know what we're going to do. We're going to have a look at all of the sprues. We're going to tell you how long it takes to build each one. And then we're going to figure out whether or not I managed to paint the lot. And just before we get into it, you should like and subscribe because, well, you're here, you're watching this, and I assume you like me. And if you like me, then you should subscribe because it really supports me. It's a free way to support me, and, you know, you'll be doing your good deed for the day. So, you know, come on. What have you got to lose? So without further ado, let's jump in and take a look at the Legions Imperialis. Okay, here we go. Legions Imperialis. Let's kick things off, of course, with the main event, the big box itself, which is quite funny because it's a big box with lots of very little things in it. Now, inside the Legions Imperialis box, it's very heavy as well. If we just flip it over, you get yourself in here, shown at actual size. So this is the scale. This is what they look like. You get inside, you get the 2 Warhound Titans, a squadron of Lehman Russ tanks, 2 Malkador tanks, you get 3 Legion Predators, 4 Contemptor Dreadnoughts, 2 Legion Sicarans, get yourself 2 command squads, 2 bases of Legion Terminators, 2 support legionaries with the missile launchers, plasma guns, got some assault marines, 8 tactical legionaries bases. We get some Charonite Ogrins, I should say, some Ethon heavy sentinels, auxiliary commanders. We get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 bases of auxiliaries, some with axes, they do have a different name, some with flamers and some with the las rifles, tertios I believe they're called. Yeah, you get tons of stuff in here. It's 223 miniatures, although realistically I would suggest that one miniature is a base, so it's 5 guys per base, but you know, 223 miniatures, not bad. Anyway, let's flip it over and have a look inside the box, shall we? Like I said, this is quite a weighty box. Inside you also get things like the instruction manual and the return of the best things ever. Depends on your point of view, I guess, but we get our classic GW whipping sticks for measuring. They're not whipping, don't whip people with these, but they do make a very satisfying sound when you use them through the air. These are 18-inch rulers. These are staple of Games Workshop boxes for a long time, but here they are. Love them, great to see them, love it. What you also get inside the box are your blast templates. Mine has separated for some reason, but you get your large blast template, your small blast template, and your flamer template, and that would lead me to believe that we're probably getting scatter dice as well in here, which is great. Now we have an absolute mountain of plastic sprues here, so let's see if we can guess what each of them are. That one looks to me like Malkador tanks. That one looks to me like Sikaran battle tanks. Here we have Legion Predators by the looks of things. That's Lehman Russ battle tanks, has to be. So there we go, just keep these separate. Then we have, that's a Warhound Titan, and that is definitely a Warhound Titan. And that, I would guess, is Warhound Titan as well. Yeah, 3 sprues for your 2 Warhound Titans. One has now just disappeared behind the desk. Then we have ourselves a Legion Infantry sprue. There's 1 of those. And there's 2 of those by the looks of things. Yes, that is the second one. Got a hair on mine. Don't shout about it or else everybody will want one. And then we have our 2 Solar Auxilia sprues as well for the infantry, and that'll include the Ogrins and the Sentinels as well. So I'm just going to create a little pile of Astartes and Solar Auxilia here and here, like that. So a pile of sprues, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11 for the one that just dropped to the ground. Pop these out of the way, and those, pop those down in the tray. We get ourselves a lovely card insert, which has got, ooh, you don't see that very often these days. We have, here are the ways you can expand. So stuff that's coming: Kratos Heavy Tanks, Storm Eagle Squadron, Xiphon Interceptor Squadron, the Civitas Imperialis Spires, Marauder Bomber Squadron, Bane Blades, we already know about that one, Direwolf Heavy Scout Titans, the War Master Iconoclast, Castus Knights Porphyrion, Reaver Battle Titans. So a lot of this stuff is kind of already available, like the Xiphons and the Storm Eagles and the Marauders, I believe, because of Aeronautica Imperialis, and the Titans, 2, 3, 4, including the Knights. They're also, we already know about those because of Adeptus Titanicus, and I believe these 2, Kratos and the Baneblade, have already been previewed. Not sure about the Civitas Imperialis Spires, but they look sick. That's a really cool little terrain kit. I'm gonna have to get me some of that. So there we go, little product sheet of extra stuff potentially on the way. Well, definitely on the way. And like I said, you don't often see that these days. You used to get that in most Games Workshop kits and boxes like this of what your next steps are in just like a here are the products type thing, but you don't see it as often these days. We have ourselves a weighty rule book. That's a big boy. How many pages? Oh, we've got some token things. 241 pages in a hardback rule book. I like it. It looks nice. That's awesome. That's really cool. I'm just going to pop that there. That one shouldn't disappear behind the desk. We have a an envelope which contains token/reference pack. So we could open this up, see what that looks like. Try my best not to absolutely destroy it. I regret nothing. So in here we have, is that it? Yep. So we have our tokens, and they're quite elegantly thin plastic card. They're not like the big thick ones, so these are quite bendable, so they won't be as rugged as you usually see from those types of things. But we get 2 reference sheets that look to be the same. Yes, they are the same. That's nice. That's nice to see. So, you know, you could split the box with a friend or a loved one or your worst enemy. You can split it with whoever you like. And then we get ourselves a really cool instruction manual with some artsy stuff on the front, or on the back I should say, because that's the front. Recommending you use plastic glue, superfine detail cutters and a mold line remover. I'm probably going to have to agree there that although a knife will be more precise, they're going to be quite difficult to clean these up, if indeed they need it. We haven't had a look at the sprues yet. So, having a quick look at this instruction manual, there is quite a bit going on in here. There's a number of pages. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 pages here, which does surprise me a little bit given what we're going to be building. Quite ditty little things, but as you can see, a little brief interlude look over these instructions. There isn't a huge amount to do. For example, on the tactical legionaries and the assault marines, it's basically going to be a case of pick them off and put them on. It does give you an indicator of where you could put them, but obviously it's up to you how you assemble them on the bases. Same for the dreadnoughts, although they do come in multi-part here, so body, arm, arm, leg, leg. For the dreadnoughts, you have your choice of twin-link las cannon or Kera's assault cannons. There's choices of weapons, even at this scale, which is really awesome. Support legionaries with missile launchers, they come in multi-parts, as it were. So you're going to build a sergeant with a missile launcher, and I think the rest of it looks like, oh no, you do this multiple times to build multiple legionaries with missile launchers. Your plasma guns, they're all in one piece. Legion terminators, they're all in one piece. So it shouldn't take too long to get through the building of this particular set. Solar Auxiliary appears to be very similar for all of the infantry. The Charonite Ogrins, or Charonite, however you're supposed to say it, 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces per Ogrin. The Ethon, 5 pieces per Ethon, 6, 7 pieces per Ethon. So you've got the missiles as well. Sikaran, they look pretty simple to put together. You can have a little a commander poking out if you want. That's awesome. There's a surprising amount of choice and detail in here for what it is you actually are building, if you see what I mean. That does surprise me in a good way. Like, look at the Malkador, for example, a choice of battle cannon, las cannon, or battle cannon. You've got choices of heavy bolters, las cannons, or auto cannons, or are they just, you put all 3 in? You have choices on the pintle mounted, the hull mounted one. Yeah, just there is a ton of different choice there in those vehicles. Same here, Lehman Russ, you've got choice of las cannon or heavy bolter, vanquisher or battle cannon to go in the top, of which of course you build many of those. And well, the Warhound Titans don't surprise me because of having done a Reaver Titan, they are quite sizable. So the Warhound Titans, I would imagine, are about half the size maybe of a Reaver Titan. So the amount of choice that you'll get in here should be quite high. So you have Ursus Claws and Melter Lancers as options in here. which is awesome. There they are. I think there's other choices. Yes, the Volkite Eradicators, Melter Lance, Natrix Shock Lance, Ursus Claws, Missile Pods. Yeah, loads of different things that you could put in here. Ursus Claws are always quite fun though. Fire the Ursus Claws, etc, etc. Very Warhound Titan-y as well. Awesome. So, what else do we get? Well, we get a little transfer sheet, which gives us not specific legions. We do get down here, if you look very carefully, we get Sons of Horus, Death Guard, Iron Hands, Imperial Fists, Unknown. So I guess you could use some of those for any of them. We get a bunch of numerals, get Warhound Titans, Legions Astartes for Iron Hands here, or the Eye of Horus there, Death Guard, Imperial Fists. Then we got some for the Solar Auxilia as well. Oh, so these must be Solar Auxilia based on those Spartan helms. Similarly for this one, Solar Auxilia, and this one, Solar Auxilia. There you go. So these are your, oh, and this one is probably Solar Auxilia as well. Yeah, there we go. So those 4 in the corner for your infantry banners. Those are your Solar Auxilia ones. But for these, you've got your Sons of Horus, Imperial Fists, Death Guard, and Iron Hands transfers, but not for the rest of them. It's a bit sad, but there we go. Can't be helped. Inside here we have one of your very large bases for your Warhound Titans. And these are these bespoke bases that we have for Legions Imperialis. They're a little bit thinner, well, quite significantly thinner than your normal average base. If we take our Mark 6 Space Wolf, you can see it's about half the size on the base, but there we go. So there's one, so we should have another one here somewhere. We've got some orange tags from our sprue for the templates. So here we go. We have a bag of lots and lots of bases. I'm guessing this is all for infantry, and they all look to be the same size, which is awesome. We have our bag of dice, and there it is, the scatter dice. Oh, so nice to see you again. And of course we have our other large Warhound Titan base. There we go. Awesome. That is a ton of stuff to get through, and lots of really cool stuff in there. So we're gonna look in the rule book, not the rule book, the construction booklet, and actually we don't really need to do that. We can just roll straight into it, I suspect, because we've opened the box. We've had a look at everything that's in there. So the place to arguably start then is to take it a page at a time. And well, we've got our pile of sprues in my hand just off camera. There they are. We have our infantry sprues for the Legions Astartes. So we will do a quick cut because, well, we've got to bring the camera closer. So as mentioned, we are going to kick things off with the Legions Astartes infantry, I guess, is what you would call it. And in order to do this, we have these 2 sprues. Now they are identical in nature. There is nothing different about either of these. So what you'll get from this is exactly what you need both times, you see. So there should be, based on that, enough on here to build 2 Contemptors, 1 base of Assault Marines, 1 base of Legionaries with missile launchers, 1 base of Legionaries with plasma guns, 4 Tactical Legionaries, 1 HQ, 1 Terminators, and so on and so forth. And then you double that up, and that gives you the entirety of the Legions Astartes section of the infantry. So you have these 2 sprues. Now, on the instruction booklet, as we've already looked at it very briefly, we'll have another quick look at it. It comes over on these 2 pages, and well, 1, 2, 3. So this will tell us exactly how many bases we're going to require to do this. So we need 1 and 2 for the HQ. We need 1, 2, 3 for the tactical legionaries. We need 1, 2 for the assault marines. 1, 2 for the plasma guns. 1, 2 for the terminators. 1, 2 for the missile launchers. 2 for our dreadnoughts with Kara's assault cannons, and 2 for our dreadnoughts with twin-linked las cannons. And we are doubling this up by the looks of things. So there's 2 bases, so this is where we're getting ourselves confused. 2 bases here, 1 of these and 1 of these. So you need 4 for your tactical legionaries, and then we're doing it twice. So we require 4 more bases. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. How to read these. So we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 22 bases that we'll require to build the Legions Astartes infantry. Now, as it comes, or as we should have a look at here, that we don't have tons and tons of options, and as we kind of discussed, but we do have some, which is cool. We don't have loads and different assembly options on these guys, which is great because it means that the majority of this should go very quickly. And it's the same for the HQ. So we have ourselves a banner, we have ourselves what looks like an apothecary, 2 veterans and a captain, I would guess. And they will all go on to the 1 base together. Doesn't matter which base you use by the looks of things, but for example, they've used that style just there on that one. And then you can arrange them however you like. They should all fit on 1 base, which is absolutely staggering. Now, when it comes to the missile launchers, you don't have options of different weapons. It is just missile launchers. They're not like las cannons or auto cannons or anything like that. But they do come in assemblies. And then similarly for the Contemptor dreadnoughts, we have Kara's assault cannon and las cannon, and we can build that twice. But I'm not sure, and we will look at this with the sprue in just a moment, as to whether or not there are 4 las cannons and 4 Kara's assault cannons in the box. Not sure yet. But this is cool. This is very, very interesting. This is new for all of us. So I'm going to pop that to one side. I should also point out actually as well that these have numbers with which to group them together, and I would guess that that's recommended because some of these will be sergeants and some of them will have banners and stuff like that. So for example, this one, and there is a sergeant there with the plasma guns. It's just a recommended layout, but of course you can build them however you like, but you wouldn't want to, for example, accidentally have 2 sergeants on the same base because it would, you know, defeat the object a little bit. Anyway, pop that to one side. Now let's have a quick look at these sprues because they are identical. We don't need to look at both. So firstly, let's answer that question about the las cannons. There is 1 las cannon and 1 Kara's assault cannon. Yeah, so that's it. There's not 4 las cannons and 4 Kara's assault cannons. You will be building 1 las cannon dreadnought and 1 assault cannon dreadnought from this box. We have all of our infantrymen lined up around here. So we have, these are all infantry, 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 infantry. Here will be our missile launcher men. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a plasma gun. Plasma gun there, plasma gun. Where are the plasmas? Here and here and here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're just missing 1 plasma gun. Maybe it was this guy as a sergeant. And we have our sergeant for our oh no, there's our plasma gun. So we have our sergeant here for the missile launchers. Now, presumably, because these are the same, it will be giving you 1 sergeant per 10, which would presume that there will be leftover guys. So if you've got multiple versions of this sprue, you could end up with extra models to make extra bases, which is cool. I like that. There's not really a whole lot to say here because we do have such tiny little guys, but on pretty much all of these infantry models, it is attached where the feet are going to glue to the base. So it's not like attached on the head or on the shoulder or on the back or anything like that, where it might be a little bit tricky to get to. It's all attached at the base, which is really intelligent, very nice. Like that a lot. We have things like the missile launcher has a connection point on the top of the gun itself, so you will have to be careful for that. But the majority of these models are all attached here under the feet, and that's great. I love to see that. We have got a connection point on the top of this guy, the Assault Marines Sergeant, by the looks of things, on his backpack, and here as well. So those are areas just to watch out for. They will be a little bit fiddly, but the rest of them are all at the feet, which is absolutely fantastic. I'm such a fan of that. That's so good. The Dreadnought is a slightly different story because there's a number of different components for him. But the Terminators, look, they're all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 5. Yeah, look, I mean, just, it's an absolute marvel. I love that. I love that so much. We do have spindly little details, for example, on the las cannon just here, and you will want to be careful around the Sergeant on the missile launcher. Was that arm that feels a little bit brittle, but they are quite compact, so snapping really shouldn't be too much of an issue unless it's on things like the sword. But that's not attached at the sprue, which is great. The flag here is also attached at the sprue, so we'll just want to watch out for that up there. But I mean, this is staggeringly cool, and it makes for a very simple clip out and fix experience, if you see what I mean. Now, looking at them sideways on, there doesn't appear to be too many mold lines. There's the occasional little thing, and we do have like almost what I would call kind of like classic Space Marine things, where you've got like spars that are connecting the gun to the body and stuff like that. It's not 100% noticeable at this scale because you can tilt them in such a way where you won't really see that. But that is just something to watch out for as you're building these and painting these later on, because you know that is like quite an old thing, like with the metal and the old plastics and the old kind of resin things, where there's just this huge amount of extra stuff that connects the body to make it easy to print, and that is evident on here with these guns and things. Now you could sit and clip it out, but I don't think you need to. I think you'd just be adding extra faff to putting these together, but we shall see. We shall have a look and see what it looks like, and we're going to do that now. So what we're going to do is we're going to build an entire one of these sprues on the time lapse, and we'll see how long that takes, because that makes sense to me. So that's what we're going to do, starting now. As you can see, we've built all of the Legions Astartes infantry, so we've used up both of those Legions Astartes infantry sprues. So what we've got here is we've got 2 HQ bases, we've got 8 tactical bases, got 2 cataphracti over here, we've got 2 assault squad, 2 plasma and 2 missile launcher bases, all told. It's the fastest I've ever built this amount of models. Because technically this is 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 90, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm just saying, 94 Space Marines. Not bad going. Anyway, we're going to move the Space Marines out of the way for the moment, because we are going to move on to the next step in the instruction manual, which is all of the solar auxilia. Now that they're out of the way. So in order to build the infantry, we have once again 2 identical sprues. They are completely the same. There is no variation here whatsoever. But much like with the Space Marines, what you'll end up with is a couple of spares. So like a sergeant over here, a sergeant over here, for example, depending on how you choose to build them. So for example, the, where are they? There they are. The missile launchers. You have 1 sergeant just here, and then you have 1 kind of extra guy. So from the first sprue, you're left over with a sergeant, and from the other, you're left over with a normal legionary. So there you go. If you buy 3 lots of Legions Astartes infantry, including this one in the box, because you get 2 sprues per Legions Astartes infantry set, you'll have a sergeant and a guy left over. And that's the same for pretty much all of them. Cataphractii have got a sergeant and a guy left over as well. So do the Assault Marines, and so on and so forth. So you will have extra bases eventually. So solar auxilia then, we've got our 2 sprues just here. And what we will require to build these is our instruction manual and this many bases. So 3, 6, 9, 12, 13, 26 bases in total. And as a consequence of that, I've actually got some spares left over here. And this is what I mean. So I've actually got in this bag, because we don't need these now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 spare bases, which is pretty cool. I haven't actually measured how big these are. Smaller than the 32. They're about 28mm base. There you go. It's funny what your brain does, doesn't it? I realised I hadn't answered that question to myself. So yeah, roughly 25, 28mm base. I mean, that's a 25mm base just there. And it is smaller. It's about the same size actually. In fact, we have to just flip one over and do that. Yeah, there you go. 25mm bases maybe. I could get the ruler out, but I'm not going to. Anyway, we will require all of these bases and just these 2 pages of sprues. Because next up it's tanks. But anyway, enough about tanks. So what you get in here is you get, because of the quirks of the solar auxilia, you can only have 1 sort of big boss commander, and then you have kind of detachment commanders. So you've got your auxilia or legate commander, I think is what it's labeled in the book. I can't quite remember. And then you have your next step down. You can only have 1 of these per detachment. So this guy kind of sits on his own. You then have these hit in the detachments, as I understand it. I could be wrong. But there is a distinction here. Only we have 1, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And here we have 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So you will have a spare 1 from your bases, and you'll have a spare 2 from your sprues, as it were. We then have 1, 2, 3, 4 of our auxiliaries just here, and you build it twice. So that's how you get 8 bases of auxiliaries there, or the las rifle sections. We then have the veletarii down here, And again, 2 bases of that, but you build it twice, so it's technically 4. Well, it's not technically 4, it is 4. And then we have our auxiliaries with flamers, and again, 2 bases of that, but you build it twice, which is how you get 4. Your Charonite ogres, 2 of them per base, and you build that 4 times. And your Ethon heavy sentinels, 1 of them per base, but I just realized that was all off camera. Ethon heavy sentinels, you build all of that, 1 of them per base, but you build it 4 times. Make sense? Not tons and tons and tons of stuff on here. There's no options, unlike with the Space Marines with those las cannons and Kara's assault cannons, although really there weren't that many options. They weren't optional. You still used the 2 Karas and the 2 las cannons in the end anyway. But yeah, it's really simple, just like the other ones. So let's have a quick look at the sprue, shall we? Just before we get underway with the building. Put the instruction manual to one side. So as mentioned, these sprues are identical. Now, unlike with the Space Marines, there's nothing here really that leaps out at me as being too complicated. The missile launchers, they were something that were a little bit fiddly, but the big boys, so the Ogrins and the Ethon heavy sentinels, they're in reasonable sized pieces, so they should be pretty easy to put together. There's no like kind of little tiny missile launchers or any kind of tiny little knives or flamers or anything that sits separately, unlike with the Space Marines. And similarly, the Dreadnoughts were pretty simple to do, but they did have a separate fist down the middle, which was a little bit tricky, but not too bad, just basically fiddliness. But yeah, I mean, this is a really, really, really good little sprue. The only thing to watch out for, as having built the Space Marines now, is occasionally when you're trying to kind of maybe clean down an edge or take off a bit under their base, you have to watch out for any sticky outy weapons or arms. So for example here, this knife on that individual just there, or sword, it's not a knife, if you press too hard, you can separate these things from the body, you can snap them off. Same for this one over here, same for the Legate Commander just over here. I would watch out for the flamer barrels around here as well, because again, you just don't want to press on it when you're applying any force, because it is, they're not like brittle, they're not like kind of you know, fragile or anything like that, but it is the type of thing that's very easy to snap, so do just watch out for that. Same for the barrels on the guns of the las rifles actually, and probably the axe heads too. But otherwise, yeah, it's really cool. Legions Imperialis, it's very, very, very nice. So yeah, as you can see, it's a pretty cool sprue. Again, they're all attached at the base around here, which is better than the Space Marines, because some of those Assault Marines were obviously attached on the backpack, but all of these, to a fault, are attached at the base, making it very simple. You don't have to worry about any kind of sprue flash or anything like that. It's only the occasional mold line, which they might have, but they also might not. Space Marines didn't have very many at all. Occasionally on a leg, that was the only thing to watch out for, and the smooth shoulder pad on the right rather than the one with the bobbles. But yeah, this is pretty cool. So we're going to jump in and we're going to build this on our time lapse. We're going to again do one sprue and then we'll do the other one off camera, and we'll see how long it takes to put it together. As you can see, all of the infantry is now built for the Solar Auxilia and the Adeptus Astartes infantry. I've just got it all out together because, you know what, for the size of it, it makes the belly fizz. I'm not gonna lie, it's really cool to look at. There's just loads of guys here, and it's just, yeah. I think it looks fantastic, and as you can see, these are all built now, both detachments. We've got the Ethons, got the Ogrins, we have both our command squads, there they are, our Veletarii, and so on and so forth. So what we're going to do is we're now just going to shuffle these all off to one side, and we are now going to move on to our next unit. Now our next unit in the book is the Sicaran Squadron, which is very, very exciting. Now, one thing I have noticed looking at this is that, well, the box gives you 2, but this says 4. Now, I'm assuming it's because you can build the 2 turrets and you don't have to glue them in, right? But it is a little bit misleading that it then says that there's 4 as well. So to me, it kind of reads as there's 4 tanks, but there's not. There's only 2 Sicarans. Same for the Predators. It says 6 here and 6 there, but there's only 3 in the box. And again, I think it's because the turrets are, you don't have to glue them. The Malcador is exactly the same. It says there are 4, so you don't have to glue all the stuff in. It should just sit in there nicely. And the same for the Leman Russ Strike Squadron. Again, 8, but there's only 4 in the box. Now, initially, like I said, I thought that was a misprint, but I believe it's because the turrets and things like that. So it's just one thing to watch out for. You're not missing any plastic. There is only 2 Sicarans, and there's only 4 Leman Russ, there's only 2 Malcadors, there's only 3 Predators. There's not double of all of that. But, as mentioned, I do believe it's because you can build both the turrets and probably don't even have to magnetize them. They'll just slot in because you get completely different parts for them. So 10, 8, 11, 9, 14, 12, 15, 13. Of course, we will find out as we build them, but on the sprue, as you'll see here, there is 1, 2, 3, 4 of the plasmas and 1, 2, 3, 4 of the twin accelerator autocannons. So I'm pretty certain I'm correct here. Anyway, the Sicarans come on 2 pages, as have the rest of our stuff so far. Then it goes straight into the Predators. And, well, there isn't loads of components here, as you can see. For each of our Sicarans, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Optional things here, so the 12, 13, 14, 15. So 15 to 20 components all in. You can do them however you like. You can denote them as tank commanders, I believe, by putting one of these officers in one of the cockpits or one of the hatches, and that's just a really simple way of doing it. It's really cool that it's included. You don't have to do that yourself. But yeah, just should be reasonably quick to build an entire Sicaran squadron. So let's have a little look at that sprue, shall we? Now, by the measure of what we've done so far, these components are pretty big. So if we pick up some Space Marines, as you can see here, if we compare these Cataphracti Terminators, there is definitely, you can see it's really nicely scaled with that side of the tank. So it should be pretty cool. They should be about as wide or a little bit narrower as well. Now it looks like it scales really nicely. So when I say these are massive pieces, I mean it in the context of the game. Of course, it's not the same as the Titans. The Titans are truly enormous when it compares to the little infantry. For example, I can't believe I haven't already done this, but here is my work in progress Reaver Titan, and here is some infantry. So you can tell that it really works. Anyway, enough about Titans. We are now looking at this sprue. So there is a couple of things to just watch out for here. Obviously, we've got things like the las cannons, the twin accelerator auto cannons, and things like these. These are a little bit spindly as these details, so you want to be careful when you're clipping them off. You don't want to kind of put any stress on those pieces. So what I would recommend is, for example, here on component 9, you clip it just there like that. So you saw there was a little bit of flex there, but if you try going from this end first, you can generate a snap just there, for example, and you really don't want to do that. We do of course have tiny little components on here. Now this is not something to criticize with this type of Warhammer, because well, everything is quite tiny, so it is just one of those things, right? So like the tiny little cockpit man here and here, just you have to deal with it. I have to deal with it, I should say. But we do have really cool pieces. I mean, these are undeniably Sakarans. They're so recognizable from their form factor, and you know, they're just really nicely detailed. There's nothing missing here as far as I can tell from the Sakarans I've seen in my lifetime. All the rivets and things like that around. You've got even those iconic looking tracks of the Sakarans. We don't have too many mold lines on here as far as I can tell, but of course that is something that we will only figure out as we're building them. Should be a mite easier as well, because these are not resin. So anything to watch out for when it is come from mold lines and that type of thing, you want to look at your sprue in that 2D plane, especially when you clip your pieces off. So for example, if there is going to be mold lines, I would suspect that they will be on the tank tracks all the way around, not that I can see. Now we are looking at a vehicle, so all of these components should be attached to the sprue around the outside of these large details, which they are, for example on the hull just there, and on the canopy and the hull here as well. But one thing I would like to just check when it comes to the commanders, he's attached to his belly, which is excellent. So is he, so they're not on the top, so it's not going to be an awkward thinning or smoothing down process for that one, which is great to see. Really like that. It's a very nice little sprue here, and I can't believe that there's 2 whole tanks actually crammed into one sprue, and I'm looking forward to seeing how big these things look in person, because it's one thing to look at it on the sprue, but it's another to look at it fully built. Now I'm going to be building one with heavy bolters and the twin accelerator, and I'm going to be building another with the las cannons and the Omega plasma array. Hope I've got those both right. We might do the sub-assemblies for the extra stuff as well, just in case, but I want to get both the tanks built, and well, we're going to do exactly that just now. Very efficient sprue, not many components on there, which is absolutely fantastic. Really nice, simple build it should be, and we're going to find out if that's true right now. So our Sakarans are all done, as you can see, and we did build one with the plasma and one with the turbo accelerator, twin accelerator autocannon, I think is what it's called. I've forgotten. I knew it earlier and I've completely forgotten. But here they are. Here are our little tanks. And when you compare them, again, we've got our little Reaver Titan just kind of dominating the space. But when you compare them to each other, there's a dreadnought and a tank, for example, and infantry and a tank. It looks absolutely fantastic, especially when you lay them out like so. Now, I was half right earlier in terms of the building of them. You do get enough pieces left over to build both sets of turrets, but you don't have enough pieces to build heavy bolters and las cannons twice. So you don't get 4 las cannons and 4 heavy bolters. You do get 4 of the guns, but you don't get 4 of the, well, 8, I guess, of the mounting system. So you have to kind of glue those in unless you're going to magnetize them, but it's very, very difficult to do that with the guns because they're very, very tiny. So I've built one with heavy bolters and one with las cannons, as I kind of suspected I would. and they look pretty cool. Like I said, the scale is absolutely on point here. They look fantastic, especially when you compare the lot together. So we're going to move our demo Titan out of the way. We're going to move our tanks out of the way now, because we have more tanks to build, which is super cool. And the next ones are going to be the Predator tanks. Here they are. So again, they come on 2 pages, and that is it. Years, because the Malcador is up next after that. So we have our Predator squadron, and once again we have choices here. So we can build them with the Predator cannons or the Predator las cannons. And again, you've got your sponsons here, las cannons and heavy bolters. So I'm probably going to go all las cannons. Now I'm unsure if there's going to be a number of different things that you can do here with the sponsons. For the turrets, it's a slightly different deal this time around to what it was before, in that on the Sicarans, in that you glue the gun onto a singular turret. Although it does look here like there's 6. So this is the Predator Sprue. Just going to move that out of the way. It's about to make an appearance. So we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which is cool. Depends on 15 though. Component 15, can't see it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, no, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you can build all 6 of the turrets, which is pretty nice. If the turrets are interchangeable, then excellent. I would guess though that the sponsons will be the same as it was on the Sicarans, given as we now have experience of that. But I can't quite decipher it yet. Yes, 8 and 11, that's a sponson mount. 8 and 11, that's a sponson mount. 8 and 11, those are sponson mounts. Yeah, so you only get 1 set of sponsons per tank, but it might be that you're able to do both different turrets. So pick your point defense guns for your preferred choice. The Predator cannon does look pretty awesome. But so does the las cannon. It's the twin las cannon, of course. Predator, isn't it? So yeah, pretty simple to build as well, like the Sicaran. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I guess the dozer blade is optional. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, optional stuff here. 15, 16, 17, 18. So 18 components per tank, roughly 18 to 20, depending on whether you build a little commander coming out of the hatch as well. It's nice to see that we get all of these kind of consistent things going on, and of course we will find out about those options as we go. But like I said, I'm probably going to go for an all las cannon setup to make a nice like, sort of anti-vehicle setup, sort of anti-heavy type thing. So here's the sprue. We've already kind of looked at it very briefly. There you can see that, just like in terms of scaling with a Sicaran, Predators are smaller anyway, but you can see right there that there is just that much difference in the size, which is really, really cool. Again, scaled appropriately based on their larger counterparts. So as once again, like with the Sicarans, all of our tank areas are all attached to the sprue around the outside of these components, across these 4 bits and these 2. We've got our chassis as well, just around here, again connected around the outside, so should slot together pretty well. We've got our kind of frontward vision slits that they like to have on the old style Deimos pattern Predators, is what I think they are. As mentioned, there is options to build or enough las cannons and heavy bolters for every tank, and we have obviously 1, 2, 3 of the Predator auto cannons and 1, 2, 3 of the Predator twin las cannons to go on the turrets. The pile of little kind of exhaust points around here, and we've got our hatches and couplers and all those kinds of things. I'm not sure how many. Yes, 1, 2. Got 2 little tank commanders here, but there's no reason why the Sicaran one shouldn't fit. I would guess if you wanted to do more than that, I would guess that they would. Yeah, it looks like they could. So that's cool. If you wanted to have a bunch of them leaning out, or if you wanted to have none of them leaning out, that's absolutely fine too. Again, spindly components, tiny components, things you have to watch out for. Things like the kind of those sponsons, they're a little bit tricky to deal with because you see these little two square plugs. That's where the gun goes in, and then it goes into the tank via this little peg. So it's pretty easy, but it is fiddly getting these guns into those holes. So do watch out for that. What you have is you have the little trailing bit of the cable here, which lines up with the trailing bit of the cable on the gun at the bottom there. It's the same thing on the las cannon. So that does give you a little guide rope, as it were. But yeah, it is just one of those things to watch out for. Should be pretty simple though, looks pretty simple. Building these tanks is absolutely fantastic, very, very quick to do. So we're gonna jump in and we're gonna start building the Predator team, and we're gonna do that right now. Our Predators are all built, which means that the Astartes section of the Legions Imperialis box is now finished. And just because we've done a little bit of a size comparison each time, as you can see, the Predator really slots so nicely next to the Sicarans. I can't wait to see how big a Spartan is. Anyway, looking really, really cool. All three Predators all done. So we now return to the Solar Auxilia based on the instruction manual. And the next stuff to do is the Malcador Squadron. So these are fantastic battle tanks and they are absolutely beautiful. I've always been a big fan of the Malcador, and I'm just, yeah, really looking forward to getting some of these built. Because it'd be the first time I owned them. Solar Auxilia, I've always really liked them, and yeah, anyway. So we have our 2 pages for our Malcadors, and I think it's once again the same thing as we've had for the tanks. So there is the ability to put all of the turrets in, but this one's slightly more difficult because the Malcador has a canopy over the top. So whilst you could magnetize that on top, this one just here, this piece, or this piece I should say, 23, what it does is it secures the battle cannon, or the las cannon, or the Vanquisher battle cannon. Now I'm probably going to go for the Vanquisher battle cannon because it looks dope and it's really, 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 really big. So that's awesome. I'm really into that. But the sponsons here should be much easier to kind of chop and change as you desire, because you choose one out of the 3. It's a little bit confusing. So it's just one of these, but it just slots right into there. So you don't have to glue anything. So if you want to chop and change out your sponsons, you absolutely can do. The turret will be a little bit more difficult. I think if you take off this pin here, you should be able to just slot it in and out, depending on, I don't know, so you'd have to take off this one and this one, the underside there, and then you can just slot your turret in and out rather than having to play around with magnets or anything like that. Should work that way, but of course, test it yourselves. Like I said, I'm going to be going for Vanquisher cannons because they look awesome. We have a choice of hull mounted weapon. You've got your Demolisher cannons, autocannon, las cannon, or heavy bolter. These can all go in there. Again, probably going to go for the Demolisher cannon because it looks sick. And yeah, I mean, just look at these. I mean, that's got a las cannon, an autocannon in the hull, but yeah, Demolisher cannon just looks really cool. So yeah, there's not too much, again, options that you can have. You can have a man poking out of the turret, of the hatch, which is cool. So open or closed. So with a pintle mounted heavy stubber, which is nice. And again, just lots and lots of choice here to arm your Malcadors however you desire. Only comes in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. 18 minimum pieces, which is cool. Again, build a whole Malcador in 18 pieces in very little time. It's very, very, very nice. This really does make me feel very, very, very good about myself as I'm building these things. So let's have a quick look at that sprue, shall we? And yeah, once again, it's just all the same things that we've had with these Legions Imperialis sprues. You've got some tiny details. Be careful of where you're applying pressure, particularly on things like the guns, but the connection points on the sponsons is right at the back there, so that makes that really easy. You can just clip that out and then just slot it in, no problem, no questions asked. Very, very nice. And like I said, I really like this mounting mechanism for the turret on the Malcador. You've got that little pin that just drops in to either this and then this goes on the top by the looks of things. I think that's how it works. 23, yes, that's exactly how it works. So actually, yeah, the only one you'd have to drill out or smooth off with a knife or something is the underside pin if you want to just slide your turrets in and out and change your weapon loadouts. That's cool, I like it. Demolish cannon looking absolutely lethal and awesome. And then the main tank chassis, again, connected all the way around the outside. So here and here, here, here and here and here, here, here and here and here. So making it nice and easy to smooth these pieces down with a knife or mold line remover. That heavy stubber looks very, very spindly, so be very, very careful. I would clip it at the body, at the top, just up there, and then clip the barrel rather than do it the other way around, because I think if you do this barrel first, you will snap it just there, because it's a very, very tiny piece of plastic, so be very, very careful with that if you want to use it. Same over here on this one. So you get the options to have a man poking out at the top on both if you want, but you probably only get one sort of commandery looking bloke, unless that's one. Can't tell what that is. It's very small. Looks like an engine sear maybe. Oh yeah, no, it is a man poking out the top, looking through his binoculars. My failing eyesight. Yeah, I mean, the one thing I will point out actually here is these component 9s, these exhaust things. That is going to be a quite tricky thing to clip off, because you see the connection point is in between two raised details that are very close together, so you will need to smooth those down because you won't be able to get your clippers in there, so you'll have to do it manually afterwards. But do just watch out for that, and just don't be too vigorous with a knife or mold line remover. You'll end up taking off the detail, and you don't want to do that, of course. But yeah, I mean, they're very difficult to talk about, these sprues. They look really good. They're very efficient for space. There's lots of components on here and lots of choice, whilst at the same time being very easy to build, roughly 20 components or less. So it's very economical, but very, very cool, and I like it a lot. So yeah, let's build some Malcadors, starting right now. The tank column grows. Oh man, I can't wait for you guys to get these in your hands, because I've just built 7 tanks in very little amount of time, and this is more tanks than I currently own, I think, across all my armies, and it just looks really, really cool to have this many. So the Malcadors are done, and they look great. Absolutely fantastic. The scale is fantastic. There's our solar auxiliaryman next to a Malcador. It's really, really, really fun. I'm feeling really like a kid building these, honestly. It's a wonderful feeling. So, Malcadors are all done, which means we have one last set of tanks to do before we move on to the Warhound Titans. And the last set of tanks is our Leman Russ Strike Squadron. Now there's 4 of these on our single sprue. And, well, we have 2 choices, battle cannons or Vanquisher battle cannons. Now I'm probably going to do 2 with Vanquishers and 2 with battle cannons, but I'm pretty certain it comes with enough to do all as one or the other. Yep, 4 and 4. Yeah, just looking at it there. We also have hull-mounted heavy bolters and las cannons and things like that. Probably just going to stick a las cannon on all of them, to be honest, because, you know, it is what it is. You also have your options for your little men poking out, and they all look to be completely different, but we also have closed hatches as well. Now these go together really, really simply. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 pieces. Pretty much across all of these. So for those of you who want to have huge amounts of Leman Russ on the table, you should be able to put these together no problem in no time at all. Because, man, it's so cool. I know I've said that like several times, but it's really worth just reiterating that over and over again. We also don't appear to have as many tiny little details as we have on the other tanks and indeed the infantry and things like that. It's a pretty well balanced set of instructions. I'm pretty certain that's it for the thing. Yeah, because we're on to Warhound Titans after this. So we're going to pop the instructions manual to one side once again, and we have a very quick look at the sprue, because as mentioned, there's not many components on here. Well, there's quite a few components on here, but you're building 4 vehicles out of this one sprue. This is really, really impressive. Really, really impressive how they've managed to do this. So we have our little chassis, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we have the top parts, 1, 2, 3, and 4. We've got the tank tracks here and here. We've got our stabilizers that go at the back. We've got our engine blocks here, 1, 2, and 3, and 4 of the hatches. Turret areas 1 and 2, I believe. Those are turret bits. Pretty certain. Although it does look like the turrets just come in. Oh yes, no, they are. They come in just one piece. So there's not 8 turrets here. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's only 4 turrets. So you, unless you want to magnetize your battle cannons or your Vanquisher battle cannons, this is the only one where, apart from the Malcadors, I guess, but unlike the Astartes tanks, it's not just a case of building separate turrets for things. We have the exact same feedback we have for the pintle-mounted heavy stubber. You just want to make sure you clip it at the body before you do the barrel, because you don't want to snap it. We should have 4 different ones like that rather than duplicates. So there's 1 there, 1 there. Can't see the others. Yeah, 3 and 4. There they are. So 4 separate tank commanders, as it were, for men poking out of the turret hatch. So, you know, shouldn't be any duplicates unless you have multiple sets of Leman Russ. But yeah, I mean, again, same thing as the rest of the vehicles. It's all nicely attached around the outside. Any of the men, apart from the heavy stubber here, this one, they're attached at the waist, which is great. The barrels here, we don't have a connection point on the Vanquisher barrel. We just have it on the mouth of the barrel and on the bit where it connects to the turret. And the same thing for the battle cannons. So you will just want to watch out for the tips of the barrels, just here, the mouth of the, I don't know what it's called. The opening of the barrel at the end of the barrel of the weapon. We have a little bit of detritus there, which I can't get off with my finger. Here we go. Got it. Got it. We have 4 heavy bolters here, and there should be 4 las cannons as well. Yeah, there they are. 1, 2, 3, 4. So plenty of options here on your Leman Russ Strike Squadron. Again, really simple sprue, very simple models to put together. Aside from the fiddliness of it, they are very small components, but in the context of Epic, rather than the context of 40k or Age of Sigmar, they should be pretty quick and easy to do. So we're going to jump in and we're going to do this now. We're going to see how long it takes to build these 4. We've done 2 sets of 2s, 1 of 3. So how long does it take to do a 4? So with all the Solar Auxilia and the Legions Astartes now built, it's time to move on to, well, I think it's the main event. What we have is, of course, the Warhound Titans. Now, in order to build these, we are going to require these 2 large bases and 1, 2, and 3 sprues. It's the first multi-sprue kit in the box. Everything else is fit on 1, as it were. I mean, the infantry were 2 sprues, but they were identical. So, you know, anyway. 3 sprues for the Warhound Titans and the 2 bases. So, I built the Reaver a long time ago, so I can't really remember. And I've never built these Warhounds before, so let's have a quick look at the instruction manual, shall we? So, it comes on 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 5, and 6 pages altogether. This is, I'm presuming, a new Warhound kit, because they often come with like a default loadout, but with other things that you can build for it at the same time. It doesn't give you every gun that's possible on the Titans, as I recall. So these are the Warhound Titans with Ursus Claws and Melter Lances. However, as you will have spotted on this page, you have the options to build here. Volkite Eradicators, Incisor Pattern Melter Lance, Missile Pods, Ursus Claws, and Natrix Shock Lance, or Natrix, however you're supposed to say that. You also have the options for Swarmer or Shudder missiles down here for your missile pods, which is pretty cool. I'm probably going to build Melter Lances and Ursus Claws, because my Legion is the Legio Solaria, so Ursus Claws feels very kind of huntressy. As does the Melter Lance, to pop that final kind of nail in the coffin for any of the larger engines for the engine kills. So, how does it work? Well, we build our Warhound 1 and Warhound 2 legs. So you get the whole thing done up until, you know, the waist. Then you build head 1 and head 2. And then you build generic bodies by the looks of things. Yeah. The body is exactly the same across both. Then you build your weapons and put the whole thing together, which is actually very simple. It's a lot simpler than the big one, which I had to outsource to somebody else. But yes, here we go. So, Warhound Titan's looking pretty good. 3 sprues of plastic would usually indicate that there's tons and tons of plastic components here, but it actually doesn't look like it is on the face of it, because we have optional armor plates for the legs. We have optional armor plates for the top of the carapace, and we also have optional kind of caps for the weapon mounts for either traitors or loyalists. And Legio Solaria, famously loyalists, so that's what we're going to be doing. So yeah, I mean, there's a couple of cool options, loads of different gun options in here as well, so you don't just have to do Melter Lances and Ursus Claws, but that's probably what we're going to do because they look sick. So let's have a quick look at those sprues, shall we? So this will be the most familiar kit, I think, of the 3. Well, the many that we've looked at, because, well, there's multiple components to build one model. So starting with this one then, the weapon sprue, which for those of you who are not a Titanicus aficionados, well, for those Titanicus aficionados out there who've already built many Warhounds, this is probably the newest sprue that you want to have a look at. The others I don't think are redesigned or anything, but I'm not entirely sure. So yeah, here we go. So first and foremost, loads and loads of different stuff going on here. Tons of components, which can make this one look a little bit bewildering. And in my defense, it does look quite bewildering because there's so many different things going on here. But ultimately, there won't be very many things for you to actually build out your weapons. But one of the cool things about Titanicus is a lot of it is often designed so that you can magnetize. These are ball joints, as you can see just there, for the weapons, but that won't necessarily stop the more ambitious modelers out there. The Reaver definitely was magnetizable, and I know that the Warlords are absolutely magnetizable. They were designed with that in mind, so the Warhound shouldn't be any different, as should these, which is pretty cool. Lots and lots of different components here, and everything feels nice and chunky like a normal Warhammer 40,000 or Age of Sigmar kit. These are big components, so lots and lots of kind of sturdiness in the plastic. There's nothing here that looks too fragile or anything like that, unlike the rest of the Legion's Imperialis box. Now, as for mold lines, I would expect there to be bigger mold lines on these than on the little ones, because, well, these guys are bigger. But this sprue actually looks, at least on first examination, to be in really good nick. I can't actually spot any big glaring mold lines here, which is really cool. So that's looking good. And like I said, there's not really much to worry about here. Everything's kind of attached around the outside because these are going to be in kind of the scale that we're talking about. These are big components. We don't have connection points, for example, here in the Volkitiness on this one, nor do we have it. Where's the other one? There should be another one. Another piece that looks like this, yeah, over here. Again, we don't have any connection points in the Volkite bits. Same for the Melter Lance, we don't have it actually in those coils. We do have it on the barrel there, so do watch out for that. You want to make that sure that's nice and smooth. So just be careful with your knife or mold line remover. Our lances here, and the Ursus claws and things like that, they're all attached quite nicely on smooth, flat details, which is awesome. Nothing looks too difficult to get your clippers in. So like, for example, these bits here should be very easy, lots and lots of clearance around the sprue to clip stuff out. The only thing around here, I think, is maybe on this container or frame or weapon casing, we do have a very, very narrow clip point just there. So that might present a little bit of a challenge to get your clippers into, but it shouldn't be too difficult. Moving on then, we have our next sprue. And this is mostly legs, a bit of body as well. So we've got these kind of bits of areas here. Now this one should be a reasonably familiar sprue, and I think there is a slight difference in the colour of plastic, which would indicate that these are slightly older. Yes, and in fact you can see on the date, these ones were designed in 2018 and these ones are 2023. So yeah, these are the older Warhound sprues, which is cool. So there should be some familiarity there for Titanicus fans out there who've built these before. And the Warhound is one of those ones, I think, at least my understanding is that it was a little bit less complicated than, say, the Reaver. The Reaver's legs, for example, well, feet, and the Warlord's feet, for example, come in loads of components, almost an unnecessary amount. But these are quite economical, and, well, as you can see, they're pretty chunky. Again, talking about the scale that we're talking about, and it's really cool. It's really, really nice. They're not overly large, should be still very easy to paint, because, you know, I'm not sure about the size of them, but they look like they won't stand much taller than, say, like a very large Space Marine, but we'll find out. I mean, the Reaver is about double the size of a Primaris Marine, but, you know, we'll find out. We'll see what happens. But again, it's all connected quite nicely around the outsides of the details. We do have some connection points on ball joints here, and here, and here, and here. So that's one thing to watch out for, just so you get a nice flush fit in the foot. And these feet are somewhat raised as well, so you want to be very careful when you're assembling these for the final push to make sure you're getting them the right way around and you're getting that step right, because they don't, this one, for example, that's a stepping foot, so it's not flat against the ground. Same for this one. This one is also not flat against the ground. I don't think any of them are. So they're all going to be walking forwards by the looks of things, but we'll find out as we build, of course, naturally. Yeah, the sprue's pretty good. Again, fairly familiar for those of you out there who've built Warhound Titans before. Finally, we have our torso sprue and various armor plates. Now, you could leave most of these off to prime in sub-assemblies if you wanted to. I probably won't do that. But we do have we have enough to make several different heads by the looks of things. At least to my mind. Ah, in fact, yes, we've got our spiky bits here, which would indicate to me that that's a traitorous Warhound head, if you've got the spikes on there. Just trying to have a look. Doesn't actually say in the instruction manual. So these ones here, you see these little halo pieces, that to me says traitor. The Eye of Horus is definitely a traitorous option. We have the kind of more elaborate top here for the Warhound carapace. We have a very kind of bare loyalist one. Then we have this one, which again looks a bit traitory as a second option, because you've got those extra kind of pointed stars and things. So maybe it's 2 loyalist, 2 traitor. Just kind of give you that little bit more variation in the models, which is cool. I like it. We have these pieces obviously as well, which are very loyalisty, because we've got those Imperial eagles on there. And there should be some stuff going on here. Yes, for example, these are the I believe these go on the waist. They're not the tops of the heads, I'm pretty certain. Again, we do have some slight subtle differences here. You see how you've got kind of almost a fleur-de-lis type thing, or a very kind of chaosy spike. Something to watch out for, I suppose. But, you know, so these are kind of more subtle details. It's okay if there's a little bit of spikiness here and there. It might just be the design of your Titans, but we'll find out as we go along how many of these things we can build in. Well, we can build 2 of them, but how many things we use up in terms of the actual construction of the models. So yeah, it's looking good. It's looking very familiar for Titanicus fans. Very nice, very cool. We should get on with building them really, because this is the last stop in the main box, but then we've got a few others just to look at after this one. These 2 now built, the entirety of the Legion's Imperialis launch box, starter box, or army box, or however we're going to call it. The entirety of the set is now built. So there's our Warhound Titans. If you'd like to see them in relation to a Reaver Titan, there you go. It's looking pretty cool, right? The scale's just brilliant. I love it. Anyway, we're still not done, because we've got some other things to do. So we are going to now work on some of the little individual boxes that we've got. And the first of these is going to be the Kratos Heavy Tank Squadron. Now inside the box you get yourself 1, 2 sprues. You also get a much nicer transfer sheet. There it is. Now on this transfer sheet you get every single Legion. There they are. Every single one. Not just the few that you get in the main box, but you get every single Legion right there. And they say these are just the Legion vehicle transfers, but some of these are so small you should be able to fit them on your banners for your Space Marines, for your command squads. So this is a really good transfer sheet. I like this a lot. I really, really like this. I think it looks great. Very, very nice. So you get that. So you get that transfer sheet, you get these 2 sprues, and you get this instruction manual. Now it's not a very long instruction manual. You get 1, 2, 3 pages. Now the 2 sprues that you do get are identical, because you can in fact build 4 Kratos battle tanks from this, and they look massive. Look at how big that is in comparison to something like the Sakaran. Once we build one up, we'll do one as a little side by side here. But these are, as mentioned, completely identical. There is no change between these two sprues. So these things should be fairly familiar by now based on what we've done. So let's have a quick look for these Starties tanks. So having a look at the instruction manual, it comes, well, you build the chassis of it in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you choose these things for the kind of little hull mounted weapons. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and you've built pretty much the whole thing. You have your dozer blade and you have your engine housing as well. So in another couple of pieces, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you have your battle cannon and your blast cannon as your options. So you build it 22 and 21, 24 and 23, and it goes into 19. I'm not sure if there's enough. I'm not sure if there's 8 turrets in here. You can have a quick look, I suppose, for 19. So there's a 19, there's a 19, there's a 19, and there's a 19. So no, you don't get 8 turrets in here. You get 4 turrets for your 4 tanks. Unlike with the Sakarans and the Predators, where you have an abundance of turrets, so you can swap them in and out. And then you get on the back here, you have options again to have your either a man poking out or a closed hatch. You have your las cannon, heavy bolter, las cannon, heavy bolter, go in your sponsons. And I'm guessing you get just the one sponson again, just like with the other tanks. So really, really simple, really, really very quick. And you get 4 Kratos tanks in here. So we started counting how many components it was going to be. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, possibly 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 20 components per tank. Can't ask for fairer than that, can you? Very, very cool. It's nice to see that there is some of that kind of consistency going on in and around these kits. So we'll have a quick look at one of these sprues. And again, I'm not anticipating anything particularly stunning as a revelation here. The only thing I think that might be a little bit annoying is those engine housing. In fact, it's not just 20 components, because these individual bits here, they're all a 10. So these are on this page just here. So that's 4 components going into one. So that is a little bit annoying for 5 components just to make up one engine housing. And they are all a little bit small, as you can see, these little tiny pipes. And they're all connected at the ends of things, which again is better generally on these types of components, but it does make smoothing them down a little bit more complicated. The tank parts are once again all connected around the outside of the vehicle. We do have 2 on the underside of the tracks, but none on the top of the tracks. Instead, it's on top of this little bit of armor just there. So that's good, because that's easier to smooth down, but it is more noticeable if you gouge it. So just be very careful with your knife or mold line remover. We have the same little spindly details. For example, the las cannons and the heavy bolters are a little bit tough, and it's the same sponson mounting as you got on the other tanks, so it should be really familiar. We have our, what is that? That is our Kratos autocannon. That's cool, but it is attached at the barrel here, so you want to watch out for that. Just make sure you clip it on the barrel first before you do this bit, because you don't want to snap it. There should then be either heavy bolters, yep, here, they're attached twice, and there should be las cannons as well that look very similar. There should be 4 of those here and here. So again, they're not attached at the barrel, they're just attached at the joint, which will be hidden when it goes into the tank, which is very cool. So the las cannons are looking like the #1 option here. I also really like the battle cannon. There it is. I think that looks great. It's massive. I'll probably build 2 with battle cannons and 2 with the melter blast gun, wherever that is. Can't see it. In fact, it's there and there. They're almost about the same size, which is nice. I like it. Should make for some really cool tanks. So like I said, we'll build 4 out of this box. We're going to see how long it takes to build just the one sprue, I suspect. And then well, we'll be right back for our next one. Okay, so they're pretty far away from the camera right now, but as you can see, the Kratos tanks are very, very big. I mean, they're not, they're tiny, right? This is a tiny hammer. But compared to the Sakaran, it's almost double the size overall. Not length, but it is just very, very big. It's very, very cool. And there's 150 points for 2 of them, so in a typical 3,000 point army, you could just run like 40 of them. That'd be fun, right? 40 Kratos tanks. And there's a little Predator as well, as you can see. You compare them in size. Very, very small. So, what we're going to do now is we're going to move on to our next kit. And we're going to stick with the Legions Astartes. And we are going to build the Rhino Transport Detachment. Yes. So, what you get in this box is you get this 1-page instruction manual. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A bunch of choices for Havoc launchers, twin link bolters. So 1 from these, 6, 7, 8, 9. Multi-melter option, 10 pieces per Rhino. And you can build 10 of these in the box, which is fantastic. So in order to build those, what you get is you get another one of these really cool transfer sheets with all of the legions on there. Every single one for your viewing pleasure. And this one has a kind of filmy backing. It feels a little bit different to the other one. Or at least it did have a filmy backing. I don't know where it's gone. Ah, it's here. So this one came with a bit of paper that went over the top of it. But if you look at this one in comparison to this one, these look like 2 completely different transfer sheets, which is weird. They're the same, but different. So you get the transfer sheet, and you also get 1 and 2 sprues, each containing 5 rhinos each. They are exactly the same. They are identical sprues, as has been the theme so far. And yeah, 10 rhinos in a box. How fantastic is that? So your entire army can ride in style with these, as each one should be able to transport 10 marines, which is 2 bases. So you should be able to put 20 bases worth of infantry in these, excluding terminators and assault marines, I suspect is the rules, but I don't know. I haven't read it too carefully just yet. So here we have our bases. Our bases are rhinos. We don't have any bases in the box. Vehicles, none of them have bases. But as you can see, it's pretty simple to build these things. We have all of our bolter turrets here. We've got a couple of multi-melter. Yep, there's one. Is it just the one? Looks like it is just the one. Got our engine blocks here, here, and here, and here. More of our twin bolters. I mean, that's just a bolt gun. And that's a twin bolter. Let me just look at this one more time. Twin linked bolter. Twin linked bolter. Maybe it's a case of you either put 1 and 1 in each of the turret holes, or you do one of these and one of the open turrets. Either way, I don't think it matters too much. They're only bolters. You don't only have the one multi-melter there as far as I can tell. Get a couple of dozer blades and things, and these guys are about the same size as the Predator by the looks of things. Yep, because it is the same chassis, which is awesome. All of these details connected around the outside as per usual. And they're only 10 components each. I can't go over that. That's really cool. Got some hunter-killer missiles here as well, actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm guessing there's 10 of them. Well, 5 on this sprue and 5 on the other one, I would assume. And these are not hunter-killer missiles. These are engine blocks. So I don't know where the hunter-killer missiles are. That one? I think that's one. Component 11. Yes, 1. Maybe it is just the one. There's another multi-melter. So that's 2. Discovering these components as we go along. They are very, very small. They're very, very small, as you can tell. Yeah, no, it's very economic. Very, very cool. Because we do have our transports, which aren't massively interesting models, generally. But to be able to fit 5 of them on a sprue, 5 of them on the other sprue, that's really nice. I like that a lot. I'm into it. I'm big into it in a big way. Yeah. Again, it's not something I do in my armies. I don't build dedicated transports in 40k for things because, well, I frankly don't want to. I prefer to make my men walk. But in this game mode, just being able to buy a box of 10 of these and put a whole detachment in them is just really nice. I think that's really cool, and I think that's really great. And I can absolutely see an entire mechanized army being created pretty quickly, which is one of the great things about these kits. I just really like them. I think they're fab, and they go together really nicely, and mold lines don't seem to be very prevalent on this one either, which is awesome. So, well, as per usual, I mean, we've skipped over it quite a bit in this video about like kind of really tiny components. They're all really tiny in many ways. You do have to be careful around the little engine blocks that go around, the exhaust points that go around those points of the rhinos. And yeah, I think it's going to have to be one of those things where you have to really pay attention to what kind of things you're putting in the hatches. You want to make sure that you get it right, or at least looking right in that traditional Horus Heresy rhino style. You can, of course, put havoc launchers and things on there if you want to, but I'm probably just going to keep them nice and simple, you know? Just bolters for days, because bolters are cool. So let's find out how long it takes to build a sprue of rhinos. 5 rhinos at once. Can't believe I'm saying it. With our rhinos all built, we have but one last unique kit to build, which is, of course, missed the camera, Bane Blades. Yes, we have a Bane Blade squadron here. So inside the box, you get this little instruction pamphlet. You get this Solar Auxilia vehicle transfer sheet, which is pretty cool, giving us names and things just there. And what you get is you also get 1 and 2 sprues. It is a Bane Blade per sprue, because I believe in here you can build a Bane hammer or something, and the other one, we'll find out in a minute. But it's one of 2 variants of the Super Heavy, and as you can see, these things are very, very big. Bigger even than the Kratos, I'm going to assume, and that is exactly what they need to be, because they are Bane Blades, of course. So, it's an identical sprue, once again, so there you go. Exactly the same sprue. And let's have a little look at our Bane Blade squadron of 2 Bane Blades. So, in here we have 1, 2, and 3 pages. Hellhammer or Bane Blade cannon. There you go. Those are your 2 choices in here. But you do also have the Hull Heavy Bolter, the Demolisher Cannon, Las Cannon turrets, which could be twin Heavy Bolter turrets instead. By the looks of things, as usual with the Bane Blade, and the bolter, well, the things themselves. Heavy bolters, heavy flamers, auto cannons as your options in there. You can, of course, and then you put your las cannons on top. Yeah. So in 40k Baneblade, it's twin heavy bolter or twin heavy flamer with a las cannon on top, or in this case, you can have a twin heavy bolter on top. But I don't see why you would do that. That's a lot of heavy bolters to have at once. Anyway, we're not here to discuss the merits of bolters. We're here to discuss the Baneblade. So as you can see, it's really small. Little instruction manual. It's the first time we've had separate tracks. Everything else has been assembled onto these things, pre-assembled I should say, so that's interesting to see. And each one doesn't seem to again come in too many components. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and then you pick one of these, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. The turret will be 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. Then you have your options for your couplers and things like that. So yeah, these will be the most intense of the builds, apart from the Warhound Titans, I'm sure. There's quite a lot going on here. And of course you can build 2 out of the box. Now I'm going to build 2 Baneblades, because Baneblades, right? Has to be. It's Baneblades. And yeah, so let's have a little look at that sprue, shall we? By the looks of things, again, as it was with the Solar Auxilia tanks, you don't get spare turrets like you did with the Predators and the Sicarans. The Kratos didn't have spare turrets either, so you would have had to choose one to assemble or magnetize it. And the same thing will happen here with the Baneblade. So you can either magnetize your Baneblade cannon or your Hellhammer cannon, I'm sure. There's your Hellhammer cannon, there's your Baneblade cannon with its coaxial auto cannon, the Tracer auto cannon. It's very cool. I like this. I love Baneblades. I really love them. It's so nice. It's a really, really nice tank. I'm very, very excited to build these as well, because I haven't owned a Baneblade for a while now. The last one I had was a big one, so I'm very excited to have 2 little ones. Interestingly, here on the tracks we have just the 2 connection points at either end, and we have these kind of sort of floating support sprues which are not attached, so that's really cool. Like that. Got some more kind of very detailed tracks just around here, connected a couple of times on the sprue. Fiddly bits, we do have tiny little men that poke out of the turret hatches and things like that. And similarly to the other kind of Solar Auxilia ones, the pintle mounted heavy stubber is once again just a little bit spindly, well, quite spindly, so you will want to be careful when you're clipping that one down. Just, you know, once again, just clip the barrel first and then do the rest of it so you don't snap it. Otherwise, these are pretty hefty components. They're almost akin to the Warhound Titan, based on the size of it, I suppose. Everything feels pretty solid by looking at it. Even these kind of the las cannon turrets here, they feel pretty solid, which is awesome. I like it. We've got our sponsons here and here, here and here, here and here, which is great. I love this. I'm so into this. I really like this. I think this is my favorite looking sprue. It looks really simple to do. The only thing I would point out here is a little, perhaps maybe a issue, is the rounded edge just here on the chassis, on the underside, on the underbelly of the tank. But that will be covered up by the tracks, so you don't have to be too careful around there. But for the sake of a good fit, just don't gouge it too much. But again, really nice. I think this should be pretty simple. Again, we've got another rounded edge just there, so you will want to go with the curvature of the component rather than straight across it if you're going to use a knife. But everything else feels really solid, really square, really nice placement on the sprue. Another rounded edge just there on the turret. I'd recognise that from a mile away. Something about a Baneblade turret. Anyway, we're going to jump in and we're going to start building them. We'll see how long one of them takes, starting now. So there we have it, all built. Now, we didn't look at the Astartes infantry box, and we didn't look at the Solar Auxilia infantry box, because they are exactly the same. I opened them up, and I looked, and I was like, I'm not going to film this, because we don't need to. Because they're exactly the same as what comes in the starter kit. There's nothing different there. They're just your bolt-ons, your add-ons, if you will. So we haven't done them, but we have done the rest of it. And the question you're all now asking is, did he manage to paint all of it? Well, the answer is absolutely yes. First up, we have all of the Solar Auxilia infantry, including the Sentinels and the Ogrins. They're all done. Their bases are drying. They're the only ones I've done because I ran out of time. But we have our Legions Astartes infantry as well, all painted up as salamanders, including the Dreadnoughts, missile launchers, Terminators, Commanders, Plasma, and the Tactical Legionaries. We have our tanks with the Sicarans, the Kratos, the Rhinos, the Predators. They're all present and correct, except for 4 Rhinos and 1 Kratos. I can only apologise I didn't get those done. But we do then have all of the Solar Auxilia tanks in the form of 2 Blades, 2 Malkador tanks, and 4 Lehman Russ battle tanks, all arrayed for battle. They look deadly, don't they? And finally, we have our 2 Warhound Titans in the colours of Legio Solaria. They're so cool. I really like them. I've got them Reaver to go with them as well. Isn't that cool? Not only that, but all of that was done inside 24 hours. Yep. 24 hours. So there will be a video coming that's about painting your box and some add-ons in 24 hours because, okay, confession time, I didn't manage to paint 4 Rhinos and 2 Kratos, but the rest of it is all done. So there's a video coming for that, and then there's also 3 painting videos coming for how to paint Salamanders, how to paint Solar Auxilia, and how to paint Legio Solaria Titanicus Titans. So you're getting spoiled for Legions Imperialis content, honestly. And if I'm being real, I didn't know I was going to do this because, like I said twice already, I didn't think I was going to like this. I didn't really think it was going to be that impactful, and I wasn't really kind of switched on and turned on by it. But I thought I'd start and see how I felt, and my mind was completely changed. Not necessarily for the building experience or the painting experience, but for the display experience. You see, I'm sat looking at it now. Again, it's sat here on my table, and I've just got this enormous army, and it's not taking up the entirety of my workspace. It's just on my painting mat, and it's just really cool. There's 2 Auxilia sections. There's the Ethon Heavy Sentinels, the Charonite Ogrins, 2 Warhound Titans, 2 Baneblades, 2 Malkadors, 4 Lehman Russ, 2 Kratos tanks, 2 Sicarans, 3 Predators, a bunch of Astartes, both Astartes sections, 4 Dreadnoughts, and 6 Rhinos. And they're just here, contained within this little area. That's really, really, really nice. It evokes those memories of what we all wanted when we first started, when we pictured having a Space Marine chapter all to ourselves. You know, having shelves and shelves and shelves of Warhammer. Well, now it only has to be 1 shelf, but the same amount that you imagined when you were a kid. And for the nostalgia alone, in terms of that nostalgia, I mean, Epic fans out there should be rejoicing right now. For the nostalgia factor alone, this is absolutely worth your time. And, well, as you'll see in the painting videos when they come out, it's not going to take you a lot of time. So how do we feel about all of the sprues? Well, honestly, if we lump it all in together, because there's not really too much in the way of variation here. We can go through it Solar Auxilia and then Legions Astartes and then Titans. But in terms of the sprues, they're just really, really, really efficient. They're really cool. They're really nice. There's lots of extra stuff on there which I didn't expect, like having the men poking out of the turrets and things like that. The Astartes tanks, particularly the Sicarans and the Predators, having the option to just swap in turrets as and when you like. The Kratos, not so much. You can't really do it with them. You'd have to magnetize it. But to be able to do that with those tanks, that's a really nice little touch. It's a bit surprising that it's not done on all of them, but I kind of get it, I guess. The Warhound Titans are really fun, and, you know, I'm excited because I've got an actual Warhound Titan coming as well. So, you know, I now know how I'm going to paint mine, probably with more highlights. You'll see. So yeah, I really get it. And having done it, I really get it. And if you're on the fence, then it's a cool challenge. You know, painting it is different. Building it is very different. The tanks are fun to do because they're really small, and I don't normally like doing tanks, but putting them together was great. The concept of doing 10 rhinos in a box is just really funny to me, and for that alone, it's a meme. Same for most of them, actually. 4 Kratos per box. Buy a box and get 4 Kratos. That's insane. But yeah, assembling them is different because most of them are single piece in terms of the infantry. Some of them have got components, like the missile launchers, for example, and the Ogrins and the Ethon Heavy Sentinels. They've got components too. But otherwise, it's just clipping things out, making sure there aren't any mold lines, and then sticking them to a base, which, you know, for me is ideal. So we can't really judge it on the same scales as we normally do with Warhammer because, you know, there's a lot of moving parts there and all that kind of thing, which is why the review is a little bit different. And whilst this is a very long video, the review sections are quite short because there's so much that's going on in there. But there's not much to comment on here because, well, there's not much to feed back. It's just very cool. Very, very nice. Very, very lovely. Use one of those 3. As someone who doesn't like building so much when it comes to the larger kits, you know, to be able to just clip out a Space Marine and stick it to a base, that would be ideal for me. But maybe not so for most of you out there who like to build. But there is enough flavour, there is enough detail on these models to make something truly special. And I've gone for some pretty cool schemes, I think. Salamanders and Saturnine Rams, I think they are, as well as Legio Solaria. But I just really liked it. I really enjoyed it, and I think I'm going to have to give this whole experience an 8.5 out of 10 on the Land Raider scale. Land Raiders are a bit big for this. On the mini Land Raider scale, the epic Land Raider scale, an 8.5 out of 10. Because, you know, they could be a little bit bigger, but that's just my preference. And, you know, there's so tiny that it can be a little bit prohibitive to some people in terms of like kind of assembling them and painting them, but I didn't run into any of those difficulties myself. They were very, very quick to do, and in some ways they're much more effective at this level, especially for contrast paints, because you can get them done super quickly, which is why I had a lot of fun doing them, right? So, you know, all of these things are paying in progress towards its score. So the kits are great. You get lots in your box. There's not much in the way of building if it's infantry. Tanks, you are building them up almost entirely. But, you know, I think as gateway boxes, these are all top notch, and I really like them. So yeah, Legions Imperialis, it is the biggest surprise for me, but I'm into it. I'm really into it, and I want to play. I want to see 2 massive armies going head to head now. 3,000 points they usually say is the about right scale for this, and I think this is maybe 1.5, something like that. So double this size. We're really cooking here. Maybe it's 2,000, nearly 2,000, but still, you get me. You see where I'm coming from, right? Anyway, 8.5 out of 10 because it was great, and I think the sprues are fantastic. They're a little plain in terms of how much you get in there, but it's a really good experience to build these, and a really fun experience to paint them as well, and an even better experience to look at it on the tabletop. Well, with all that in mind, it's time to finish, and I will see you all very soon for another sprue review, of course. Like and subscribe. See you all very soon. Bye for now. If you enjoyed this video, you love the channel, and you'd like to support me further, you absolutely can do so by heading to patreon.com/Warhipster, just like all of these wonderful, amazing people have done. And alternatively, you could become a YouTube channel member
by clicking on the join button below, exactly like these fabulous folks have done scrolling up on the screen before you. There are so many of you out there that it really takes my breath away, and I cannot thank you enough for everything you do, as without you I wouldn't be able to keep making these Contrast Plus videos. And if you really like this video and you want to send me a little thanks, just click on the thanks button just below this video. Don't forget to share it, like it, comment on it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and to make sure you stay up to date, don't forget to click the bell icon. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all very soon in the next one. Happy wargaming.